welcome everyone to the Ancestral Arts Festival. Today with a wonderful speaker who's going to take us into the body, which I love. Ellie Paskell is an embodiment coach and a somatic healer, and I am so excited to have her here today. Welcome, Ellie.
Thank you so much, Antje. I'm thrilled to be here.
Mm. So let's jump right in and start with your personal journey with your ancestors.
Mm, yes. So I'm sharing here a whole load of images that I've made throughout my journey, these 13 years with my ancestors, with my body. And makes me take a deep breath. So it all started for me when I was 22, so 18 years ago. And at that point, I was living what my head said was my dream life. I was an actress. I was performing regularly for millions. And my body kept shutting down. When I was 22, I started to get this horrid fatigue, and it would come several times a week. And I spent 3 years with the storyline that was, well, my body is broken, something is wrong, and I need to sort it out. I need to pull it into line. And, but the truth was, deep down in the bones of my soul, I knew, my heart knew, my belly knew that something wonderful was happening, that the fatigue was the beginning of a thaw. It was an eruption of a truth that was making its way through me, and I needed to listen. And yeah, this is a picture that I drew, which I think shows a lot of how it felt. It did feel like lifetimes and lineages of heaviness. It felt like libraries of books and universities of logic, and just garbage bags full of crap just that would descend and arrive in my body. And I tried for 5 years to use all of my old mind's tactics of how to fix it. I tried to be better, to sleep more perfectly, to achieve better in the line of well-being, and it wasn't working. And after 5 years, I surrendered to the fact that I didn't know, my mind didn't know why this kept happening. And with that deep, soft sinking into that surrender, the universe whisked me off to a trauma clinic. And I didn't know that I had any trauma. But it was there, thank goddess, for the first time I was really just able to give my body voice. And as I say that, it makes me want to wiggle. And a theme of this session today really is for you guys, all of you guys watching and taking part. A question I'll keep bringing you back to is, what is it that's brought you to this today? What is it that's called you to an embodiment coach in an ancestral healing summit? How has your body been getting your attention? And you may have a clear answer to that right now, or it might be more cloudy. For me, as I spent time in this magical clinic, I was able to allow what was living in the unspoken truth of my body to be free. So emotions that I'd never allowed myself to admit that I felt, I didn't even know that I felt them. I had mountains of anger that I didn't know I'd had. I was able to speak words that I needed to speak. I was able to move in the ways my body asked me to move, to let her shake in ways that she showed me when I dropped from linearity and into intuition, into the feeling realm. And so I began to understand there's a whole realm of experience here, which means this inexplicable fatigue was not inexplicable. I had just been dissociated from what was causing it. And it was songs of parts of me saying, you've got to set me free. You have desires, you've got needs, you've got impulses. I am your soft creature body. Give me some respect. Let your body be the paintbrush of your soul, and your body will heal. So that's what I continue to do. And yeah, and I knew really quickly. I'm just aware that I've said a whole lot there, so I'm going to just take a breath and invite everybody here again to take a breath with an awareness that you're in a body. You might notice feet on the ground. You might notice your breathing. You might like to bring a hand to your heart space or your belly. Just gently noticing, how does it feel to you to hear me speak about these things? How is it resonating in your own experience? What parts of you do you already intuit are being asked to be set free? And what parts of your ancestral lineage are being asked to be set free? For me, I knew intuitively that the feelings I was feeling were not just mine. I remember being in therapy sessions as the trauma energy was flowing through my body and being released, and saying to my therapist as I wiped at my arms, "This isn't mine. This isn't mine." And I could feel my grannies there with me at my back as these pieces of the puzzle about why my system had been showing signs of being traumatized were coming to the surface. And I was feeling how my life force and my ancestors' life force for lineages and lineages and lineages had been blocked and had been exhausted from trying to fit in with our upside down patriarchal system, from trying to keep up, from trying to be productive, to be shiny, to be fast, to be loud, to be the perfect mother in this society which was not meeting their embodied needs. And I discovered that our bodies have been profoundly affected by living in this system. And the system, broadly speaking, has been suppressing half of what we are. It's been, for whatever reason, and there's all kinds of theories about this, against the feminine for thousands of years. Our cyclicity, our inward nature, our intuition, our sensitivity has been shamed and it's been shunned. And so we've survived and sometimes thrived by packing it down. But it had to come to the surface, and it's coming to the surface now for billions of us on the planet at this very auspicious time. And as I felt into my being, and this is something I'm going to support everybody here to open to in this session today, what I would feel and what I would see were these somatic shapes inside my inner ocean. And I understood that these had been created again from us living in this upside down world. And I saw how my being and my ancestors' beings, and I believe billions of our bodies on the earth at this time, have been energetically lifted up from the earth. So there's a kind of upward momentum in how we are. I could feel that my heart had a hard shell around it, and I could feel that I seemed to be wearing something like a concrete jacket energetically. And as I tuned into this and I listened to the sensations over the past, 12, 13 years, and as I did research and I journeyed to sacred sites across Britain in order to better understand what our lineages have journeyed through, I started to understand, well, all of this has happened through a lineage of trauma. You know, there's been so much beauty in our pasts. We've created so much beauty, and there's been so much difficulty. We look at the witch burnings between the 15th and the 18th century, how it became dangerous to be a woman or even a being who was working with the cycles of nature, working with the cycles of our own bodies. So we disconnected, and in some cases, we tried to just forget we even had sensitivity and intuition. If we look at the history of capitalism and industrialization, this turned our bodies into part of the means of production. You know, there was a lot of wonder that happened in this time, and also a lot of disconnection. We moved from the countryside into the cities, and the pace of life sped up. And for many of our ancestors to survive, they had to literally, their bodies had to change and shift to be numb enough, to be needless enough to be able to work 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. This is legacies of trauma which are not even being spoken about yet by the mainstream trauma therapists, and it's living in our beings. And this is what I was discovering and remembering through my felt sense. And I could feel my grandmothers at my back there, holding me, cheering me on, supporting me to do it differently, to release the trauma, to come home to who I truly are, what I truly am, to free my being, to feel, to express, to grow, to blossom, to refine my integrity and my sovereignty and remember who I really am, because they weren't able to. That wasn't their role. They got through the tyrannies, they got through the wars, they passed the baton and got me here. And this is true. Again, I invite everybody taking part to take a breath with this. How is this landing for you? What sparks are flowing in your heart, in your belly, in your womb, in your roots? Because your story will be different to mine, but some of it will be the same. You know, this is mass history. And as I listened to my body, as I shook and sounded and moved and learned to love myself again and let my inner child out and let my fiery feminine out and learn to follow my body's guidance so I could feel what I truly needed and hold my boundaries and welcome the soft, wild parts of myself home. As I came home to deep self-belonging, learning to listen to, what do you need, body? Who am I? How can I honor that today? The concrete around my heart melted. The concrete jacket I was wearing melted. I landed back on the earth, and the fatigue in my body healed. And this showed me the profundity of our power to heal and come home to joy and empowerment and vitality by listening to our ancestors, by listening to our bodies. And then for me in 2018, another part of the journey, another chapter of my story opened when I was in the city centre of Manchester, my home. And I suddenly felt this high anxiety, and I found myself looking around for the men with torches who were coming at me to burn me at the stake. And it was a profound somatic remembering of which I've hardly had any this powerful. And of course, in that moment, I knew, well, this isn't my memory. This isn't Ellie's memory. This is epigenetic. This is come from my ancestors. This is another piece of guidance. And I knew that I needed to process another piece of the trauma from my lineage, from our lineage, from the times of the witch burnings, and what that meant for me and for my mother and grandmother and great grandmother and all who came before her. And this led me to take a journey with an amazing woman called Callie White. And she led a group of us 30 women to heal ancestral trauma from the burning times. And over 2 or 3 years, we created an art exhibition called I Am Witch. And my piece in it contained all the images you've seen so far. So I poured into it all of this ancestral somatic guidance from my lineage, and it came together like this. So all of the pieces led on the wall up to this empty frame. And yeah, I'll show you this video here to get a closer look. And so, whew, for me, the empty frame was there because one of the main pieces of guidance I've received from my ancestors, as I felt their exhaustion, as I felt their 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 hearts beating with fierce desire to slow down, to be kind to themselves, to just be, to stop shaming and pushing and rushing and producing, they've guided me this decade to remember that I'm enough without trying, that we all have innate value and deserve reverence and kindness, and that it's time for us, for me and my lineage, and for us as a human family, to remember our innate goodness, to come home to this love that we are, to effortlessly be the love that we are, because that's how we're gonna channel it into our world at this time when that's what we're here to do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So that is some of my story here.
My body reacts. I want to
Mm.
say I had goosebumps all over when you spoke. And I kind of feel in between wanting to cry and rejoicing in a way. Like a very, yeah, it brings up a lot of intensity inside of me. Hmm. I was wondering where we should go from here.
Mm.
I really love that you brought up this piece up around the witch hunts because I feel that that is so significant for our European heritage. And so many people carry a piece of that, I feel. So I wonder if you can speak a little bit more about the healing process in it, because it's like one thing to kind of remember and to tune into that. But I feel that, like, I think one of the reasons why I, for example, did not approach that yet is because a fear of the overwhelm, of the kind of like it feels so big. It is like such a huge thing. And actually, um, I want to share like one of the things that came up for me and that I actually shared in the summit as well was in a meditation, a healing meditation that I did with a healer that I worked with during my pregnancy because I didn't want to, pass on certain things. I went to a place where I saw this ginormous, it looked like a black canyon in the earth when I traveled like in spirit to my European ancestors, and I connected to this lineage that like this woman showed up for me, and for me she was called the first weaver, and she gave me a thread, and I could see that I am regaining my thread, and I had to cross this big gap that I could not close by myself. And this is, where I feel like you also spoke to that. It is like a work that we all need to do together. Like none of us can fix the witch wound by ourselves. We have to kind of go. And I love that you work with that in a group. So I kind of wonder if you can share a little bit more about that experience of, yeah, beginning the healing process with these big wounds that are so massive that they literally affect generations of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, a collective wound needs collective healing, right? And actually, what took me into that journey was the knowing, as the witch burning trauma came up in me, that it was very much about my relationship with other women. The fact that our sisterhood was smashed during that time and how that was resonating through my being, and how my body, as she called to reconnect to the earth and as she continued to guide me to come more and more back to life, was saying, you need your sisters. And there was a sense of the connection between me and my dear closest female family, including my blood sister, and also the other dear women in my life, my friends. That there was a kind of cleansing that needed to be done with the beautiful threads that connected us. And for me, it was about, so my intention for the journey was to heal my relationship with woman, being a woman in a body, relating with other women. And Yeah, it was so important to be part of that tribe of women, to be journeying together. I couldn't have done it on my own. So Callie guided us so expertly. We were meeting on Zoom. We're all across Britain, and one was in the States, and we were meeting on Zoom every week. It came out of us all having attended at least one in-person Healing the Witch Burning session with Callie, in which some of what she guided us to was somatic work. So it was a combination of intuitively connecting to an ancestor or a number of ancestors, and then coming into the body, and then tuning into these somatic shapes. What I hear, when I tune truly into what I feel, and I know that this isn't only mine, I know that my body is holding the imprints of my ancestors from before, because we are all one. What does my body ask for? What do I see when I take this journey? Do I need to shape? Do I need to drop my roots into the earth? Do I need to sound? Is there a blockage of energy? Do I need to send warmth to my heart? What is the next piece that's being asked to clean out this connection with myself and with the other women? And I think what you said is really important about the fear of getting overwhelmed. Yes, it's big and it lives in us, and it can be like this like volcanic rock, like dense and powerful in our beings. And so it's absolutely appropriate that we go gently, that we surround ourselves when we're doing this kind of work with people to support us, whether that is a therapist, a coach, a dear friend, a number of sisters that we're journeying with together, however it might be. And also, really important that we keep coming back to our body for guidance on how much is okay for me. So, healing our nervous systems is a really important part of what we're doing to heal our ancestral lineage at this time, because we have such a legacy of trauma. Like I said, I didn't know I had trauma when I looked back on my relatively healthy upbringing. There was nothing that really stood out, but my body was showing signs of consistently going into freeze. So there was huge amounts of trauma there. And so I began to understand. And so many of us are beginning to understand at this time, when the words like somatic and embodiment and trauma and regulation are such buzzwords at the moment. It's because collectively we're waking up to the fact that we have to regulate our systems. We cannot keep living in the ways that our well-meaning but dysregulated ancestors did. That's what created the witch burnings. Our ancestors who were on the bad side of it, who were the witch hunters, who were building the fires and putting the witches on them, they were only doing it because they were dysregulated. They were only doing it because they were disconnected from their own hearts. They were only doing it because they had lost touch with their own self-care, with their own self-nurturance, with their own self-nourishment. And so the responsible adult work at this time to heal the lineage and to heal the trauma and to stop the wars and to stop making harm on each other and the earth and the animals and the oceans is to come to our bodies, to listen to what way do I get dysregulated, because we all do to some degree. Does my system tend to get anxious and activated, like I can't sit still? Does my system tend to get frozen and headachy or fatigued or just really tense? Does my system tend to go into people pleasing and fawning and being everything for everyone else, and then I don't know who I am anymore? Taking this time to listen to our bodies every day in kind, gentle ways, whether it's 5 minutes a day or 5 hours in low stimulus environments, in the bath, walking in nature, meditating with our hands on our hearts, getting to know ourselves better so that we can understand what our bodies need to come to greater regulation. And then this is what we need when we're doing the healing work, like working with the ancestral trauma and the trauma of the witch burnings. we need to go gently and we need to stop when it feels like too much. We need to come to the cues in our body. And we need to always be balancing when we go into the trauma and into the memories with coming out and taking deep, kind care of ourselves. Again, time in nature, or taking deep exhales and deep inhales and letting them out slowly, or lighting a candle and letting our body really drop into the earth. Finding that balance of gentleness and kindness, and always reiterating to ourselves that just like we want to be drawing on the support of our sisters and our therapists and our guides and our coaches, it's really time that we're showing up for ourselves as well. And as we regulate our systems and come home to deep self-kindness and deep self-belonging in this way, this is how we change as beings. This is how we become well ancestors, and this is how we remake our world.
This resonates so deeply with me. I'm so happy that I invited you over. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it into the body. I really feel that that is such a missing piece too. It has definitely been for me. I think one of the other pieces that I would love to go into is, now that we've kind of spoken about healing and the trauma and the reconnecting to the parts that need whatever they need. Um, how did connecting with your ancestors transform other parts of you, maybe, or transform your life, or did you receive anything as well? Because I feel like sometimes there is this, we either focus on the trauma or we focus on the healing and the gifts and the, I don't know, spiritual, whatever we want to receive. So I would love to know, yeah, if there's anything else that comes up for you, and if you want to share a little bit about if there's anything about the places. Maybe you mentioned in the beginning that you went to certain places
Mm.
in England, which I love, because they are still there. No, you can go to these places. They're kind of present. There's like this presence there from the ancestors. So yeah, maybe yeah, if you want to go anywhere there, I would love to know what else is there in this realm, and how it also maybe connects to your somatic experience, or to your experience of being a human on this planet in general.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for that beautiful question. Yeah, and you know, it really speaks to, again, this magical hidden realm of truth that lives in our ancestral histories, the feminine truths that weren't spoken out, and the truths that live in our body. You know, it might not have been written down what really happened to our bodies and our beings as the patriarchal system rose, but it exists in our bodies and the history is all here. And this is what I really came to understand as my body started to speak up with the fatigue, and my lighthouse became, I will do anything to feel alive again. I will do anything to bring my body back to life. I don't care how much it makes my ego scream. I will just go towards vitality. And as I did that, what my body and my ancestors were showing me was that while in many ways I had the life and the appearance of an emancipated modern woman, you know, like I said, I was thriving in my career, I was making money, I was successful, I was wearing beautiful clothes, I had a beautiful apartment in London, I had a gorgeous partner, all of this lovely stuff. And in many ways, I considered myself outspoken and empowered. What I discovered was there was a whole other layer of freedom and joy and sovereignty and of being who I truly am, that my soul was singing for. And my soul and my inner child were saying, look, we agreed that you would play by the rules for maybe 20 years. Like, we agreed that you would fit in with the system, you would get your grade A's, you would make a shiny career, you would please the teachers, please the men, please your parents. Enough. They were like, you are here for more than this. Do you know what you are capable of? Do you know the fire in your veins? Do you know what the joy that you are here to experience and what you are called to create? Do you know the legacy that you are now here to be part of for the next 7 generations? And I started to understand, okay, I want more here. And so as I listened to my body, I began to understand, okay, I have to let my wise woman take space. I have to stop people pleasing my agent, saying yes when I mean no. I have to stop under eating to try and be extra skinny to please the eyes of men. I have to show up in ways visually that does not please my ego but that feels really good to my body. For me, it looked like things which might sound superficial but really are not, like stopping wearing high heels because I don't find them comfortable, like letting my inner child out. And as I did all of this, it wasn't just that the fatigue healed, it was that my capacity for joy rose exponentially. And it was a joy that my soul had been asking to rekindle ever since the fatigue really started to speak up. And I began to remember, like, I know what it was like to be a kid and simply feel like I was a wonderful being and simply find joy by going out and being with my friends or being with the trees and not trying to look a certain way and not trying to achieve anything. And I wanted that back. And that's what I have back now. And that's part of what I'm so delighted to support my clients to re-find. It's that inner knowing of deep worthiness and inner knowing of deep freedom and just inner connection to body and heart and womb and soul. That means rocking up and being who we innately are without trying is the joy. And if we have things in our body to heal, then that heals the body. Like those two things are synonymous. The path has been completely magical, and it's come from the guidance of my ancestors. This is what they couldn't do, you know? It wasn't their role, but it is mine, and it is many of ours at this time.
I love that it's about actually taking things away and not adding more. That feels like so light. It's like it's not that we have to like add so much stuff to it. It's really about taking all the layers off that don't fit, taking all the clothes off that don't fit somehow, and really stepping into this body and this life that is given to us in a natural way. So I really love how you describe that. And how it's really about reconnecting to ourselves, to nature, to the people around us in a like more real way. I really feel like I want to, like touch it.
It is. It's this. It's, hi, I'm alive and you're alive, right? Yeah.
Beautiful. Mm. I know that you have a practice to guide us all into that. So I kind of feel that, yeah, let's go into that because talking about it is one thing, but really experiencing it is a deeper one, is another one. And I'm gonna say that for me already, like my body really reacts to everything you're saying. So I'm very excited to to jump into that.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely, Antje. Let's do that now. All right, everyone. So we'll journey for 10 to 15 minutes here, and the name of the game in this practice is freedom and honoring of your body. So I invite you to tune into, how do you want to be? How would it feel best for you in this time? Do you want to be sitting, lying, rolling around, standing, making noise? What's here for you? And once you've got yourself situated, first and foremost, now we're opening to this regulation of the nervous system. This is how you come to the voice of your heart. This is how you return to the truth of who you are, what is real for you. It starts by letting your body wake up by knowing that she, he, or they are safe in this moment. Oh, and so I invite you to notice the cues of safety that are around you. You might notice that it's quiet here. You might notice that the air feels still on your skin, that it's a good temperature. You might notice that you're in a familiar space. Maybe you can hear the sound of a ticking clock that you chose, or smell the smell of your home, your cup of tea. You might feel your toes soft in your and warm in your socks. Noticing what's here for you right now that tells you you're safe, that tells you you're held. And if you like, bringing some touch to your body. So you might like to bring your hands to your heart space or your belly, or even very gently to cover your eyes. Noticing how the contact feels, the warmth of your hand, the touch. When you make contact with your own body, it activates the flow of oxytocin in your system, which helps you to feel safe and connected. Noticing that contact, and as ever, as we journey, knowing that you can move your hands, you can absolutely please your own body. And if you like, noticing that your body is on the ground and the furniture, and allowing that support to hold you 1% more. Oh, you might even wiggle your hips a little bit, wiggle your toes a little bit. Let that support rise up to meet your body. Oh. And if you like, set the intention to receive a piece of guidance in this journey from your ancestors through your body. And this is going to be guidance that will align you with the truth and joy of your soul. This is about coming home to who you really are in this moment. Oh, and I invite you now to find yourself in your mind's eye, or just your inner sense if you're not visual. Find yourself transported to a beautiful woodland. Sense the ancient trees, sense the earth. And notice that here in the woodland is your ancestral altar. Notice that on the altar are some objects, and these objects represent the life force of your ancestors, who they were, how they felt. Maybe there's photographs or flowers or candles or statues. Notice what's there. And then noticing that you are joined, that behind you are your ancestors. And there might be two of them, there might be 1,000. Notice their loving presence here with you. And with your next breath, allow your awareness to drop from your mind and into your body. Noticing that you've got feet and legs. You might like to wiggle your toes. Noticing what you can feel in these parts of you, and you might notice that they feel numb. You might notice sensation or even emotion or impulse. And now taking a breath with the level of your hips. So you've got your left and your right hip, your pelvic bowl, your genital, your womb space or your hara, your tailbone. Taking some gentle moments here with this powerful part of you and gently inquiring, what can you feel? Oh, maybe the feeling has a color or a movement or a texture. Maybe as you tune into this part of you, you want to get even more still or you want to move or make a sound. You can even send a hum down to that level of your body if you like. Inviting whatever it is that you're feeling to take all the space that it needs. And knowing if you need to take a break at any time, you can open your eyes. You can give yourself a hug. But as long as it's okay for you, now allowing your awareness to rise up to be in your back. What's it like to really land in your back right now? And then what's it like to invite whatever you're feeling, whether it's pleasant or even painful, if you invite it to be here in the same way that you would allow or welcome a good friend of yours to be here, just exactly as you are, just as they are. And then taking a breath with your torso here, stomach, lung space, heart space, shoulders, arms, hands, and your neck and your throat and your head and your face. And again, reminding your body that this is an invitation to be just exactly as he or she or they are. What are you noticing that you're feeling? What's here for you emotionally? And what's it like to put your awareness in your body when there's absolutely nothing you have to say, no one you have to please, nothing to do? Again, you might notice that your body wants to move or that they're happy to be still. Ha. And allowing your awareness to zoom out now to take in the whole of your somatic landscape, energy, emotion, sensation with great kindness. letting yourself be. And taking a breath again with the presence of your ancestors, knowing that their bodies created other bodies that created your body. And then as you allow your awareness again to be with your felt sense, allowing your body to show you one particular sensation that it wants you to notice today. Something that is real for you, and this might be all over your body, or it might be in one particular location. Maybe it feels like emotion or impulse or pure ineffable sensation. And as much as okay for you, I invite you to let your awareness drop into this feeling. And you might just really want to dip a toe in and mostly be with the feeling from the edge. But you might like to let yourself really soften and sink into this feeling so that you're getting closer and closer to it. You can feel the essence of the cells that it's made up of, the essence of the energy. And whatever this texture or this rhythm or color of feeling is in your body, I invite you to set it free. Again, this might happen with a desire to express with movement or sounding, or you might want to shake or take some deep breaths. Or it might be that for you, it's more of an imagined sense of if you allowed this sensation to be utterly free, what kind of shape would it make? And if you allowed it to become so free that it became a being in its own right, moving as it needed to move, speaking as it needed to speak, sounding as it needed to sound, dressing as it wanted to dress, who would this being be? Would it be a person, an animal, a plant? So allowing the essence of this feeling to show itself as a being in your awareness, noticing how does it move, how does it sing, is it curled up in a ball, is it shaking, is it dancing, is it standing strong, and what is it expressing about who it is and what it needs. What is this being expressing about who it is and what it needs? And what is this telling you about what is real for you at this time? About who you are, what you feel, what you desire, what you need, what you know. Notice that. How is this experience inviting you to take even more space as who you truly are? And what do you need in order to meet this part, this feeling? What is it telling you in order to feel better in your life, in order to take up more space, in order to let the innate nature of your being sing or dance or be honored or be met? What is the guidance here through your ancestors, through your body, and how to take your next step of honoring who you truly are? Let this come through intuitively. You can only get this right. Maybe you're called to rest. Maybe you're called to set a boundary or take time to sing or create or play or go to a certain place or start your business. It could be anything. It could be as simple as taking 5 minutes after this session to slowly have a cup of tea. What is this guidance here from your ancestors, from your body, from your truth? Notice that. Beautiful. And as you're ready, I invite you to thank your body and thank your ancestors and thank yourself for taking this time. And knowing that you can come back to this woodland, come back to this space anytime you need. I invite you to let it go and find yourself arriving fully back in your living space. You might like to wiggle your toes. You might like to wiggle your fingers. Bring your hands to your heart and gently open your eyes. And so it is.
Wow. I was looking forward to this, and I have one question for you. One thing that came up for me just now, when you spoke about inviting us to be who we really are, there was a part of me that didn't like that. That thought I was going to be something that my mind didn't like. Like a part of me came out that, is like the ugly part or like the part where I'm like, I don't want to be this. Um, yeah, just to reflect on that maybe. What if something like that comes up for people?
Yeah, absolutely. This is so normal. This is so normal in our world, right? Because so much of who we are, our beautiful wildness, our beautiful innate being, the pieces that our world has said are not okay, like maybe bits that are slow, bits that are sensitive, bits that have need. And I will also say that, it really comes down to choice. There is nothing here that is about pushing. And this is all about following what feels good. The invitation here is, yes, to potentially challenge the voices that say things like that part of you isn't okay, that part of you is ugly. If those voices feel like they're coming from a place of fear or unkindness, and we know that because of how they feel in our body. And so the question is always, what is the next action or inaction for me that feels truly like love in my being? This is about being emancipated from the fearful, unkind voices that live in the world outside of us. And as much as we're ready to be emancipated from the fearful, unkind voices that live inside of us as well. Because that's how we come home to joy. That's how we come home to health and vitality and healing. And a side note, but a wonderful note of that, is that that's how we recreate our world. It's a package deal.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I want to share one more thing that came up for me that's so interesting, because I've literally received like instruction that is not just for me, but also for what I am to teach my daughter, like something that I'm to bring back into my lineage, which is offering, which I found really interesting. So I'm like in my mind, I made offerings to the tree that's in front of our new beautiful house, and I'm bringing my child so she can learn about this. And yeah, I just want to share that because I thought that that was a really beautiful image, and I feel really called to step up and do it and actually, yeah, become active with it. So yeah, I want to say thank you for that. That was um, beautiful.
You're so welcome. And yeah, what a beautiful piece of guidance that's come through for you there and for your daughter.
Mm. So I know that people can work with you more, which I'm going to suggest to everyone who is as touched as I am right now. Ellie has a beautiful offering that she calls Monthly Self-Love Sundays. And yeah, I'm just going to let you speak about it and invite everyone into the space.
Yeah, thank you, Antje. So yeah, my Self-Love Sunday session, I hold them once a month, and they're live, beautiful community sessions where we gather together and remember how to be kind to ourselves, remember how to set ourselves free. So much of the work that we do there is about coming to the body. You'll have space to share if you like in community, although you don't have to. You'll have space if you like to receive reflections from me. And yeah, it's a really warm, safe, empowering space that you're so welcome to. And yeah, you can sign up for free by clicking the link wherever it is.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and for bringing our bodies back into this space. I really, yeah, feel like this is such an important piece, and you embody it so beautifully and you speak it so beautifully. So just a big, big thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Antje. It's been a total pleasure. Thank you for creating this wonderful event.